was optimistic in September, but by October I was out of the lofts. And I remember a wise man once told me that all hope can never be lost, 'cause a blind squirrel finds its own acorn every once in a little while. So you gotta keep smiling. It's the Brosuv Fantasy Podcast tonight. Brosuv Fantasy, yeah, you know it's gonna be alright. It's the Brosuv Fantasy Podcast tonight.
Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Welcome to the BFFL Podcast. This is the first annual Squirrelies Awards. I'd like to thank Geno Seneca for coming up with the idea. We're going to be handing out some awards today. First off, I'd like to thank our sponsor this week, Smokers R Us. The powers that be here in the state of Pennsylvania have decided that smokers are allowed to cut the line ahead of cancer patients and folks with various other health ailments through no fault of their own for the COVID vaccine. And as a wise man once said, modern problems require modern solutions. That's why Smokers R Us has opened a store that's full of clothes sourced only from chain smokers in the local area. They'll have no choice but to give you the vaccine when you show up reeking of stale cigarettes. Find them downtown on Liberty Avenue. If you hit the Liberty bail bonds, you've gone too far. So I would like to welcome Geno Seneca. Welcome back to the pod, my man.
It's great to be here. I can't wait for the first annual Squirrelies.
And as always, we got Ryan Gaudy and Ryan Hartz. How are you, boys?
Yo, this quick clarification here. Is it Squirrelies or Swirlies there, Geno?
The Squirrelies.
The Squirrelies.
Gotcha.
So the Squirrelies. But before we get into handing out awards, let's just talk real quickly. We've got the champion here in the house, Ryan Gaudy. Kudos to him. He defeated Ryan Hartz. I actually don't even remember the score. It wasn't particularly close, was it, Ryan?
It was like 150 to 100 something. Honey put up a good run, but he got like 0 points from his quarterbacks. 2-quarterback league. Can't win like that.
Can't have it.
Didn't he play 2 quarterbacks too? He went all season without quarterbacks and decided to play 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. He played Stafford and he got hurt like the first drive.
That'll hurt.
I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah, you won by 42. So that's a pretty significant margin.
Really, the domination.
You were feeling pretty confident going in, weren't you? You felt like you had the best team.
Yeah, the injuries once again more or less cooperated with me, and except for Julio, but the rest of the team was solid all the way around. And again, this is one of the most dominating performances in the history of the league. Again, 10-win team, most wins in the league, number 1 seed, number 1 points, high points by 100 plus, and 133-point semis, 150-point finals. Taking down.
That's how you seem to do it. When you win, it's dominating. I say hi to the cat here. The cat's joining us. When you win, it's dominant, and when you lose, it's epic in how bad you are. So it's kind of like, either Gaudy's going to win the league this year or he's going to be god awful.
Yeah, last 4 years though, we're turning it around. We're turning it around.
Let's talk about this. 2 for 4. Open that a little bit. Changes the percentage a little bit.
Gotta talk when you can.
2 for 4.
A lot of 4 and 9 seasons were rough. Can't talk too much shit with 4 wins.
I mean, I guess we got to start talking about Gaudy as one of the true competitors in this league. Among the Hawnies. I guess that's just about it.
Is that we now have to give him a little respect?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Just a little bit.
That's okay. We over here, we don't concern ourselves with opinions of the sheep, and we just keep doing what we're doing. We're already preparing in the off season here, seeing what rookies are coming aboard, and next year I'll accept the trophy and look to win another one.
Hold that thought on your plans for next year, because we're going to talk about that later. Let's get into the awards here.
I just want to say something real quick.
Go ahead, Geno.
Me and Gaudy were the only two teams to sweep the playoffs. Granted, he swept the winners bracket and I swept the losers bracket.
Congratulations. Something to hang your hat on, Geno, in a mostly forgettable year.
Yes.
Yeah, were you the only team playing in the loser bracket?
Some were not participating, but I'm still counting.
Wouldn't the winner of each be the ones that isn't that the only way to win this is to sweep them?
Well, I mean, in the winners bracket, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
A little bit more of a convoluted mess.
I think that we do need to set up a way of figuring out who's the actual loser too.
Yeah, the way it's done is, usually someone doesn't win at all in those loser bracket games, and so it's whoever has the worst record, and if people are tied in the record, it goes to whoever has the most points in those playoff weeks. So that's to try to get people to participate. But
are you place?
I'm sorry?
Is Geno, are you claiming last place?
No, I swept the losers bracket.
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm the most elite loser.
This is a major thing we need to fix.
I thought you had. I thought you only had one done.
Well, I think there's something in this league. We've had a couple guys go from worst to first, and I think almost people don't care now. Like they're like, okay, if I get last, that's great. It means I'm going to bounce back even better next year. So I think there's some sort of okay with being last place in this league, which is, depending on who you ask, is kind of a problem because you should really feel shame, and you should feel shame that you brought shame upon yourself. You brought shame upon your family.
Who are we giving last place to if Geno's claiming that he swept it and won the loser bracket? Which
I don't even know who got last place, but I'll look into it while you guys talk about.
Noon got last according to ESPN. Like when he loaded up his team after the playoffs, it said you got last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but ESPN doesn't necessarily.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll take a look at it. Why don't you guys just
lost all the loser bracket games?
I think
Noon's team was just awful.
I wasn't really playing, but I think I lost all mine. Anyways.
Yeah, Noon probably did get last because he was scoring like 60 points a week.
Damn. Actually, I think I beat one person. I won one.
Yeah, you did. You beat Noon in the second week of the losers bracket.
Yeah, I think that sealed it for him.
Yeah, usually when you get one win, you're in good place because usually someone just does not win the game.
Yeah, we should just have it organized so that it sets it up in a bracket form next year instead of.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't really give us that capability. But yeah, I mean, Noon lost all of his games and he was scoring like 60 to 80 points. So I think it's safe to say he was last place.
Well, congratulations, Noon.
Yeah.
Well done, Noon.
Cheers. Next year.
We need to set up a loser's punishment, but I know that's not going to happen right now. But we need to.
Yeah, it's really hard to get that. We need to maybe
pod.
put a priority in the off season.
Next pod, we'll get it.
I think we put loser first, and then we then we worry about the punishment, though. But anyways, yeah, let's continue on.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Squirrelies then. And I mean, since we're talking about how bad Noon was, why don't we award the first Squirrelie of the day to the worst team? So let's go in a round table. Gaudy, who's your worst team of the year?
I think we pretty much are between Geno and Noon. Don't want to speak for you guys. I was kind of leaning towards Geno, to be honest with you, although he really kind of swayed me with that loser bracket run. No.
Yep.
But you look at both rosters. I mean, Noon did have a couple injuries. I have to pull up Steamies here to see what he was working with. I know that Noon lost his first 6, and Geno won his week 1 and then lost 6 in a row. So I'll throw those two out and let you guys discuss further.
So I like 2 options. One person I might throw in there is actually Pat Mahar. His team performed a little bit better than like being the worst team, but injuries hurt him as well. But if you look at his team is really bad.
Yeah, he somehow got 5 wins. I don't even know how he did that. Yeah, his team is pretty pretty rough, pretty barren.
Right. Pretty brutal team. But yeah, other than that, I like those three.
Geno, you have any thoughts?
Well, I was getting a lot of calls from local newspapers about my loser bracket run. So I don't know how I could be the last place team or the worst team. Doesn't seem possible with all the press coverage. So I think the worst team is Noon because he got last.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I mean, it's not just that he got last. It's just that his team was just awful. I mean, even if you add Saquon back into that team, that's probably the I know it sucks he lost his number one pick, but I mean, what else did he have really? I mean, it was just a rough team for him, rough year for Nooner.
I agree. One for Noon.
We'll go down through the roster real quickly here for the listeners. You got Ryan Tannehill, quarterback. Was this the weenie arm quarterback team? And then you got Antonio Gibson, Kareem Hunt, Jamison Crowder, Deontay Johnson, Logan Thomas, Phillip Lindsay in the Superflex. I mean, I guess this was after some injuries, but he got Galladay injury as well.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
yeah,
there's not much to move the needle there. I mean, Kareem Hunt, you got to say, is probably his best player, and that's not going to win you many games in a fantasy football league.
I like Gibson. Gibson's trending up, but not enough to rely on there for his whole roster. Yeah. Mahar was bad too, but I think you're right. I think at the end of the day, we got to vote Noon.
So is that final, boys? Our first Squirrely for the worst team of 2020 is given to Kevin Noon. I'll agree.
Kevin Noon.
Congrats, Noon. Well done, man.
Congrats.
Wish we could beam everyone in to give us.
I was just going to say that.
Well, hopefully our budget's bigger next year. We can
now we'll get to Noon for a little quick word. All right. Now we'll just keep going, and then we'll slide that in there.
Yeah. The editor, Connor, you got some editing.
Right. Exactly. The next category we got here is best team. I mean, what do you guys think? This to me, it doesn't take too much thinking.
Yeah.
Hart's thinking of a way to sneak himself in this category, I think.
No, I had some tough luck this year, and I don't think my team was very good at all, to be honest with you. I think I did well for what I went through. But
there it is. His team is so bad, it was a miraculous management job that they got 4 wins.
Can you imagine if it was Gaudy managing this team?
The negative wins.
Right. Yeah, that record would have been flipped. Now, I mean, Gaudy's team was really good, but it wasn't like a team that he had when he won last time. It wasn't like something that was like a ridiculous team. Connor seems to think so, and he really. But
wait, I'm sorry, I missed that. I seem to think what?
That Gaudy has just an outlandish team.
Well, I mean, if you look at the numbers this year, he was pretty dominant in not only record but also points for, which is, I mean, let's be honest, the best way to judge a fantasy team. Right. And he won in the championship by 42 points.
Right.
I'm not saying he's the best team of all time. I think his team a couple years ago was probably even better, but I'm saying he's far and away the best team this year. I don't even see any other team that you could put up there.
I agree.
Gaudy, who was your first pick?
Dalvin Cook. Moch PYP'd, so he took I got pick 8, so I got Cook, and he took CEH at 9, I think.
Okay.
Cook fell to me, and that really kicked off my squad.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. When you click on the player and you scroll to the bottom, it usually says drafted and then the draft position, but then we had to do that weird redraft thing. So
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a bummer that we had to do that. We have to remember to not put ourselves in that position next year, because I love to see where everyone got drafted.
Yeah.
It's nice to just have history in general that we don't have.
Yeah, I know. I agree wholeheartedly.
And that goes back to putting us in the same position, like
right.
you mentioned. But
Yeah. But I mean, if you want to look at it, the glass half full, because we don't have history, everyone kind of has their own version of history. Like, I could stand right here and tell you that my 2015 team was the best team of all time, and who can really argue, you know?
I think the person who beat you that year could, but
Yeah, I mean,
who was it? I don't think there's really any arguing that Gaudy's team is the best team. But
Yep.
I just don't like to think it was like a world beater, but I think it was really good. Just I don't think the other teams weren't very good.
I mean, you don't have to be a world beater to win a championship any given year and be the best team. I mean,
yep.
Hey, congrats to Gaudy then, best team.
Thanks, Brad. Squirrelies, best team.
This technically goes to you too, so here you go.
Yep. So now we get to actually have fun here, right? Best team, worst team, whatever.
A little more
but now we're going to embrace debate here. Biggest cliff dive. No one wants this. You'd probably rather be the worst team than have the biggest cliff dive. Who do we have as the biggest cliff dive in the 2020 season, boys?
Who are these submissions? You wanna go through the submissions, or everybody want to pick one, submit one, and then?
So, I mean, I only wrote down one. So, I think there's a few. There's definitely a few. There's different ways to look at this. There's guys who are rated highly by the ESPN rankings early in the season that just never really did anything. Like I think Ghilani was one of them. A couple other, maybe Geno was one of them too.
Yeah, they were big cliff divers according to ESPN Fantasy.
But the way I look at it is actually like who was good, who actually had a good team at one point in the season and then fell off.
Yeah.
That's how I'm choosing to look at it. So I'm putting forward one Michael Machilin. He lost 3 straight down the stretch. He was at 1.7-3. He lost 3 straight down the stretch. And did he make the playoffs?
Yes.
Or did he miss?
He lost first round.
He snuck in, but he still lost. I mean, Machilin, this is kind of the thing we always say about Machilin, right? Focus, intensity, fortitude, just lacking. And he fell off a cliff. He lost to his division rivals to end the year. And, he had an early exit. I'd say Machilin at 1.7-3, the biggest cliff diver of 2020.
Yeah, he loses to Wheezy here, first round of the playoffs, 102-86. 86 in the playoffs. I mean, that's just not going to get it done. Honorable mention, I do think, though, is Andrew. He had Kamara, and so he had that big final week of the season, third place with the whatever he got there, 60 points, the 6 touchdown game. But he beat Ghilani by 2 points in week 10. Other than that, he was in danger of going on another 6-game losing streak, just like he did last year to miss the playoffs. He barely snuck in this year.
Wow. He had a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah, it was not.
Holy
he won
smokes.
one game like right in the middle there to avoid the total collapse.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty bullish on Andrew's team all year because, he had Kamara and Ridley and Allen Robinson and Waller, and those guys would randomly go off, and sometimes he'd score 150 points, and then other times, like you said, he'd just score 75. And I think he just had too many boom or bust guys. But he's always talking shit, Andrew. He's always like, "Oh, I got the best team. I'm coming for the squirrel," So I'm not too sad to see Andrew fall off a cliff a little bit.
He was self-proclaimed cliff, so.
He's somebody that did not get the memo about the 2 QBs this year, though. I mean, Jared Goff and Phillip Rivers. You really are just relying on the MMITS if you think that's.
Yep.
Hey, they worked out for him. They were reliable for the first couple weeks.
Yep.
But I think that's what leads to the cliff dive, right? It's like, yeah, okay, they're getting you through, but if you really think that that's going to get it done come playoff time or over the long haul, you're some form.
I think that's a good segue into my pick, Lou. I think it would be Connor, because he was kind of in the same boat where, he started off pretty hot. He was calling himself the champ, saying he's going to take it.
Never said that. Never.
I have the best quarterbacks. Oh, see, I drafted correctly this year. Everyone's talking him up. And then the last 4 or 5 weeks, he almost missed the playoffs. If I think in week 10 I played him and he beat me by 3 points. If that goes 3 points the other way, he misses the playoffs and doesn't even make.
I didn't even really have a particularly hot start. I was pretty even keeled the whole year. I started out 2-3. I think I don't even really know the base for what you're even trying to say. Never called myself a champ. Was just excited to have a competent team for once. I mean, I think you need a little more substance to what you're trying to say here.
And you put up 7 points in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, come on, shouldn't even really be in the.
Hey, listen. I actually have my team up for a bad award later in this show, but I don't think I fell off a cliff more than Machillin did.
Just give him
that. Taking pot shots, right?
We gotta have a little debate.
Embrace debate, sure.
Yeah, I will say with Connor though, I mean, if any, he maybe slightly fell off a cliff. I wouldn't call it a cliff fall, but he did decline a little bit based off what we thought he might be mid-season. But I think that's due mostly to injuries with Swift and Mostert going down and Godwin really not panning out to what he was supposed to be. McLaurin tough with that quarterback situation there. So I think my vote would go to Machillin in the end here.
I agree. I was just throwing.
Geno, you have anyone else to put forward?
Yeah, man. Connor really puts up a strong argument. As far as his team, just because the whole season, he was the leader of our terrible, ugly division with the woke ones, and then he was talking all this big game.
When did I talk big game? I don't understand.
A game, a lot of shit talking.
And then I can't think of a bigger collapse than getting swept by his other 2 league mates to end the season. He got swept by me and Noon to end the season. We had 2 of the worst teams.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, though, really, I had a playoff spot locked up due to the incompetence in the division. So I was actually giving my players rest. There were injuries that was letting them, come back from injuries. So really, it was actually me and maybe I was too soft on the guys, but I thought that might be the best way to be prepared for the playoffs.
I mean, it's a solid excuse.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, Andrew definitely is a candidate for falling off a cliff. Also, there's always, because Andrew always has that peak moment, and you can always tell a fantasy focus. And when it is he says it every single year. Every single year in the group chat, there's a time when Andrew says, "Fuck the Steelers, I'm just focused on fantasy." Every single year in the group chat. At some point, everyone gets really mad at him. It's like, dude, you should still like the Steelers. But at some point in the year, it's like his apex fantasy focus. He goes, "Fuck the Steelers, I'm focused on fantasy." And then
I like Tom Brady now.
Yeah, and then he goes up and down, 2 wins and losses, and he's just putting down for the squirrel. He has a big week.
I don't care about Steelers anymore.
I mean,
squirrel. Love
it. A beautiful mind, Andrew Gregg. I don't understand what's going on in his mind half the time. But yeah, listen. At the end of the day, my vote's for Machillin. I see an argument for me actually because I forgot I lost to the incompetent inept 3 in my own division there. But
and put up 77 and lost to Andrew in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, honestly.
Come on.
There are injury-based arguments all over the place. Swift had a concussion. Godwin was hurt. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Excuses. I mean, the team still fall off a cliff. That doesn't just because they got
But did it fall off more than Machillin? Machillin actually had. I will say this. I think Machillin had more high-end talent than almost anybody in the league outside of maybe Hani and Gaudy.
Yeah.
Machillin had a great team, and for him to fall off the cliff like that, I just feel like he's the guy.
Get this award, but I do have to agree. I think it has to go to Machillin, but I want to give you just because you're pushing so hard not to get it.
Well, why would I push to give myself the award? I already said later on I'm giving myself a bad award. I'm not trying to get 2 bad awards.
I do.
That was my first playoff team in 5 years. Why don't you cut me a goddamn break?
Yeah, talking about off a cliff. You got to a real top peak there. And
all right. No, I was never.
Michelin had basically no injuries, and he fell off a cliff.
It's true. I do have a clear memory of Michelin sending the guy falling off a cliff gif in the chat when his team fell off a cliff. So maybe I should just get it.
He even knows it.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it to Michelin. Anyone want to dissent on that, or?
I also self-proclaimed that he thought his team was so good and all that too. He was way up on the mountain.
Yeah.
For that reason alone, I will have to give it to Michelin.
Congrats, Michelin. Falling off a cliff 2020.
Yeah. Hope him and GB are in the running for that every year. It's beautiful.
Yeah. History repeats itself until they work on their fortitude.
Till they finally come on, right? It's always going to be a question.
That would be such a great trophy of a guy falling off a cliff.
Yeah. Connor, congratulations on making the playoffs the first time in 5 years, though.
Thanks.
I realized that was real. That's legit.
So this is actually really perfect. The next category we have to give away is Best Troll. The best troll of the BFFL. I mean, honestly, we might not even need to give this away any other years because it's going to be the same person every year. It's usually between 2 people. One of them is Ryan Ghilani, who couldn't be with us today. The second is with us today. His name's Ryan Hartz. He has trolling down to a science.
Mm-hmm.
And it usually goes something like this. Say something, not even necessarily outlandish, could be outlandish, could not be, but to rile up someone else. And then double down, and then if evidence is supporting the other side, deflect and deny, and then also what he will do is he will then say, I'm just trying to understand. So he has it down to a science. He's an unbelievable troll. You could be talking about anything from fantasy football, to really anything. Best troll, Ryan Hartz, hands down, no other candidates.
Especially with not being in the group and not even being able to compete for this award this year.
He took himself out of the running. It should be a competition, but this year he was not on his game and he was not talking the shit that he should be talking.
Yeah, there's a quote that goes something like, "If you can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen," or get out. He just took himself out of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
immediately, right? Like a couple weeks in, he was out.
Yeah.
Seems bad.
The
worst thing for Ghilani was who was he playing there? Wasn't he playing maybe like Wheezy or somebody? And it was like he was about to get his first win. I'm gonna have to look this up. He was about to get his first win, and then somehow like that team, like it was terrible, went off for like a ridiculous amount of points, and he still lost.
Oh man. I said it all year. He had like a good team on paper, and it just had bad luck. No one was showing up on any given Sunday, and he was probably so frustrated knowing him.
Typically, a team's not as good on paper as it was this year, so I could see it being very even harder this year taking that because his team actually was pretty legit this year. It just wasn't good. But typically,
it was legit, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's different form on paper. It's a paper team. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when he drafted, I was like, "Hey, Ghilani's coming to play." He's in the process of driving across the country. Like, I figure his head's not going to be in it, and then I'm like, "Damn, Ghilani came to play." I mean, he had Deshaun Watson.
We did roll.
He had Ezekiel Elliott. He had Chris Carson. He had Juju. I mean, he was going after it. He had Amari Cooper. I was like, this guy's done his homework, and just goes to show. And you got to wait till they go on the field because no one showed up for him. And maybe that's his coaching style. I mean, we haven't talked about that.
Yeah, seldom scored over 100 points.
Is there a way to see the weekly, all your weeks?
Yeah, you go to league and then schedule, and it'll show you every matchup, or you can click on the drop down and pick a certain team.
Nice. Okay.
What I'm remembering might have happened last year because I went through his stuff real quick. I didn't see it. If you do points for, he's respectable. 9. But man, we got some bad teams down there.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap! Noon with only 1,100 points. Geno 1,132. Hartz 1,165. Mahar 1,169. Ghilani was at least up at 1,250.
That's true.
Are we giving Hartz this award?
I mean, anyone else have any, dissent here? I mean, I guess Mahar's a pretty good troller, but I feel like he's not even really a troller.
He doesn't stick around enough.
It's either Hartz or Ghilani.
Yeah, but, I mean, this year it's Hartz.
Michelin roll a lot.
Yeah.
Michelin gets a pass all the time. A lot of times he's trolling, but he just doesn't really. People don't really understand that he's trolling. So I think that hurts him a little bit there.
Yeah, Hartz and Ghilani are different styles of trolls. I just realized it's like Hartz's trolls comes from his brain, and Ghilani's troll comes from his heart.
Yeah,
he's very emotional.
He's very passionate, and Hartz just manipulates.
That's why Hartz is probably more annoying.
Yeah,
I just self up. I laugh at myself, and it's entertaining.
Yeah. All right, let's give it to Hartz.
Congrats, Hartz. Well done. Best troll. Actually, I think it's biggest troll, not even best troll, because I'm not sure that sort of behavior should be awarded. Most forgettable team. There's a lot of competition for this one.
I think Pat Mahar's team.
I was going to say the same thing. Because
Hartz's team.
Who? Mine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think Hartz had some really nice talent. He just didn't have a well-rounded team. He had some nice high-end talent. I know he had AJ Brown pulling up his page right now. I think he had a couple other good guys. He had DeAndre Hopkins, of course. He had some pretty decent running backs. He had RJ2.
And out all year.
Miles Sanders was in and out with injuries. I feel like Hartz actually had kind of a sneaky D's team there.
Did you ever think like that during the season though? I just never.
My quarterbacks are what killed me. I never had quarterbacks at all. I got Mitch at the end just because and then I had Drew Brees. He got hurt. My quarterback situation was just awful all year. I had Derek Carr for a lot of the time. I still have Derek Carr. So it was a shit show at quarterback.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who else is on our? You said Mahar.
Get it? That's for sure.
He had Jonnu Smith was pretty good for a tight end.
Well, he started off hot, and then he was shitty down the stretch too. He didn't do anything the rest of the way.
Maybe Hartz is a cliff diver.
I didn't start off very good though.
Yeah, I mean, when you only have 4 wins, it's hard to cliff dive. You know what I mean?
He never made it to a cliff to dive off of.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you probably do got to go Mahar. I mean, he's got
Nick Chubb.
He picked up Jalen Hurts when he had to drop Brady for that last week. Chubb really is his only good player. He's got Mikey Thomas, but really forgettable season from him.
Super forgettable season.
I'll throw a candidate in there. Geno's team, actually. If you take out Lamar Jackson,
Travis Kelce.
I couldn't even tell you one person in your team besides Lamar Jackson this year.
Travis Kelce.
He's definitely a candidate, but the fact that he had Lamar Jackson and Travis Kelce, I mean, really, with Mahar, I mean, you look at his team and there's nobody there.
There's
nobody there.
Please read the roster. This is really bad.
Yeah. And
the best boring player. You never remember who has Keenan Allen, but you always want Keenan Allen.
Yeah. I just wish he was one of my second wide
receiver. Yeah, it's perfect. Keenan Allen was a top 12 play this year, but I mean, he's just a very pedestrian top 12 play every year.
Yeah, he's always so consistent, but it's so consistent that it's boring.
If he's playing, I feel like he gets hurt a little bit too. But
really, the Mayor strategy crashing down to earth this year. He was on a 2-year run of just greatness, and he was touting the mayor strategy, which is basically do absolutely nothing in preparation and just show up to the draft, drink as many hazes as you can, and pick some guys. That strategy went crashing down to earth, and interesting to see where he'll go from here. That was a pretty god awful team.
Yeah,
and you can't really say it was bad luck because I know that Mikey T had his problems, but really, is that going to really,
He was hurt a year.
I don't know if this award is supposed to be the worst team or if it's supposed to be.
No, it's the most forgettable.
Right.
Like a year from now, you're going to be like, who the heck was on that team? Oh, I don't even know. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel it as in like they just didn't do anything all year. You never really heard about them all year, Mandy, all year, and just like Ricky's team. It just has some good players, but you just never even really heard about Ricky's team all year. It just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'll push back on that a little bit. Ricky was in that really great division with Corey and Moach. They all had really good teams, and I think they just beat each other up a little bit.
Right.
No.
I think he was.
No, and I agree. And I'm not saying that his team was bad or I think his players were good, and I just just very forgettable. I just didn't even. I don't know. I
Sure.
feel like he was all year.
More, but I can only get 5.
I'm gonna throw a vote out there for your bye week, Pat Mahar, to win this one.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right, congrats, Pat Mahar, most forgettable team. Well done.
That would be a really good one to give a speech for.
Congrats. Cheers.
Next up, we got the Outkicked Their Coverage team. I'm not sure who came up with this category, but I took it as like someone who just it seemed like the way I took it is, hey, they seemed like they might be good, but they just got a little too big for their britches. Maybe you thought they were good, but it turned out they were kind of a fraud a little bit. That's kind of how I took it. I don't know if you guys took it a different way.
Sort of similar to Cliff Diver, but it's a little different.
But they never reached the high of the Cliff Diver, probably.
Right.
It's similar. You're right.
We want to call it the biggest illusion award.
No, I like the Outkick the Coverage.
But I think it's like so just a random thing that we got. I think we have to define these a little bit.
We are defining them. I'm not giving you authority to change the names. Who do we have here? Gaudy. Who do you think Outkicked their coverage? Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I'm rolling with GB again, I think.
Ooh.
You got again, like he was pretty solid. He ends up in third place, but just didn't have enough. He thought he was going to win it all. I think he kind of just had like a bunch of average players, other than Kamara, who's a little hot and cold. Just never really was going to threaten to win the championship. With those quarterbacks, you have to, we'll say you have to switch with the rules, and we changed the rules to 2 quarterback. Some people, I think they just hated it so much they didn't want to believe that it was necessary, so they didn't change their strategy. So he got just some real weak quarterbacks, and it's really confusing how he could have such bad quarterbacks but not talent at the rest of his positions. So he's got Kamara and Ridley. I guess he's got a couple paper guys. Robinson I think is not good, but on paper he does decent. Gaskin had a solid year. He's got an okay team, I guess. But I think really kind of getting third place or even threatening to break through was a little bit better than what he's got here.
So
I was going to put forward someone else. Go ahead, Hartz.
I take it as like you didn't think their team was going to be good, like it shouldn't have been good, but it was good, right? Outkicking your coverage is kind of like what it means.
Yeah.
And so I'd go with Ponhart, because like going in, you're like, oh, this dude, Yeah, he had good wide receivers, but he didn't have any quarterbacks. And in a 2-quarterback league, I felt like this dude's got no chance. If he's not going to have enough quarterbacks to play. How's he possibly going to put up points? And week in, week out, he put up points and had a great year, really. To be honest.
Yeah, it's an interesting pick there. You know, I think we all felt the same way. You know, he was so wide receiver heavy. But kudos to him. I mean, it really worked out for him. He ended up having a really, really good team, and I think he was worthy of that championship appearance.
Yeah.
Geno, who would you say?
No, I was just thinking that maybe Hani drafted the best wide receiver core ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he had 3 of the top 5. Actually, it's kind of crazy. If only he would have waited a few weeks and gotten better value for Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Because I know Mark Andrews was like a top 5 tight end, but really he's not moving the needle like Diggs was. I mean, that ended up being a really one-sided trade for Moch.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Hani. Actually, I didn't think about him, but that's not a bad pick. Also,
freaking hair in my mouth.
Connor, because he just had quarterbacks, and then a bunch of jabronis. So I thought maybe Connor's team made sense.
What I was gonna say was my team. Actually, I think the quarterbacks, were able to hide a lot of deficiencies in the squad. I will say I didn't have jabronis on my team. Scary Terry, was held back by his quarterbacks. Godwin was hurt. Swift was hurt. Connor was hurt. I mean, it wasn't jabronis, but I think I was able to really get to where I was going because not only the bad division, but those quarterbacks were putting up so many points. I was able to kind of gloss over the deficiencies. So that's why I was going to put my name out there for the Outkick Their Coverage award.
And the points against are certainly in your favor with the lowest points against.
Did I have that? I didn't even know.
To be able to kick further than your team. I mean, you got 13.
Probably because my division was so bad.
But mostly that. And you got Hani with the 3rd lowest points against.
Yeah. So I give it to Hani personally. But
it's a good pick. I'm gonna have to think about that because
pretty
drafted the team that he drafted, I said, "Oh man, you missed the memo. You were the one that picked the new rules, or one of them, and you missed the memo here. You got 5 starting wide receivers. You can only start 2. Right? A quarterback, super flex. You didn't get any running backs even to balance that out, and I think he had 1 quarterback or no quarterbacks. So, certainly what a great draft of wide receivers. But the reason he was allowed to do that is because other people were playing by the rules that we're playing by and picking the other positions that you need to fill out your roster. Mm-hmm. And then again, I agree with Connor, if he was able to get a little bit more value, his team was already pretty scary, and if he was able to do that. But in typical Hani fashion, he's picking up free agents, key pickups, key trades.
James Robinson, I mean, he's a smart player, man. You can't never count him out.
Like to Geno's point that he probably had the best wide receiver draft ever. He probably had the worst running back ever. Ever. Right? He didn't even have a running back. I don't think he had a starting running back to start off the year. And then he picked up Robinson.
Yeah, he picked up Robinson.
Yeah, he was counting on Gus Edwards to break out.
It was
just never really happened. And I don't even remember who else he drafted, but yeah, it was pretty rough.
Because I remember thinking,
he had that guy from Buffalo, Zach Moss, as starting at one point in the early season.
Didn't he? But I remember after the draft that Connor's team wasn't that bad. It's not he had great quarterbacks and then he'd be fine. But I remember thinking that Ryan Hartz team was just. I'm like, this dude's got no chance. But
maybe Ryan Hartz is a pick.
That's who I'd give it to.
I think I'm voting for Hani.
All right, let's do it. Congrats, Hani. Outkicked Your Coverage Award 2020. Not necessarily a negative thing.
The fact he made the finals without a second quarterback, I think, is what sealed it for me.
Pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we got a late addition to the awards. This is the Paper Champ. Paper Champ is someone who looks good on paper, but ends up not really not really ever moving the needle in the season. Someone who everyone thought, oh, they're going to be so great, but just didn't end up being a great team. Who that?
I have 3.
Go ahead.
So it would be Ghilani would be one of them. Like his team was decent and they were just trash, right? Wheezy, because he was self-proclaimed, or everyone, or well, I guess Ghilani proclaimed him champion early season.
Just here.
And Ricky just never, like, I feel like he always has a good team. He never can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be my 3 paper teams.
Yeah, great choices.
Those are good choices.
Yeah, so I mean, if we look down the roster with Wheezy, he really was let down again by the quarterbacks, right? He also didn't really draft quarterbacks. Cam Newton, he's got Matt Ryan here, who he picked up. I think he was starting Minshew at the beginning of the year. It's pretty rough, but, he's got the RBs, Drake, Taylor, and CMC. Could have been a different story maybe if he plays. Wide receiver's a little weaker. I mean, he's got Lockett, who kind of fell off a cliff, and Beasley and Jarvis Landry, who was actually pretty serviceable.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing in Weezy's favor is, he was part of the Final Four. I mean, can you really say a paper champ was part of the Final Four?
I think you can. I mean, this doesn't preclude your team from making a run, right? It's just like you can't, you win it all, you're not a paper team. But if you don't, I think you're still in the running.
Right. We considered you falling off a cliff, and you made it to the playoffs. So.
Sure. I mean, well, not we, you. You considered it. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's Ricky had so much high-end talent that my vote's for Ricky because he had Russell Wilson, he had Eckler, and he had Derrick Henry. Just having those 3 guys should make you one of the better teams in the league. And I mean, to me, he kind of fits the mold of a paper champ.
John Watson, Zeke Elliott, Chris Carson. Those 3 are pretty legit. He had Smith-Schuster on his bench, which he really didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty legit team.
Yeah. I think there's an argument to be made for either Ghilani, bro.
Yeah. I did not want to play Derrick Henry / Tricky Ricky in the playoffs.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But does that make him a good team or does that make him a paper team?
Well, let's see. How did he do in the playoffs?
Yeah,
I'm between Tricky Ricky and Wheezy.
Mm.
What is
because Ricky didn't even make the playoffs. That's right. He was left out on the last week because of a QB sneak, if I remember correctly.
I think a kneel down.
Yeah.
Kneel down.
Minus 0.1.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. Wheezy or Rick?
What's the name of it again?
My vote's for Rick.
It's Paper Champion?
Paper champ, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a weird because it's almost like who had the best draft that didn't pan out is kind of what it means, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you could factor in like setting up your team along the way.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like Ricky's team should have if you pull up Ricky's team and look at it, and then you say oh, he was probably one of the better teams, and he just didn't even make the playoffs. So
yeah, okay, I agree with you. Yeah,
Ricky.
Yeah.
All right, Ricky. Congrats, Paper Champ 2020.
He's going to be in the running every single year, which is a good thing I like about it.
He's always in the running for.
Yep.
Right.
So he'll always be in the running for that award.
Hey, I have an emergency last category that I just thought of.
Yes, let's do it.
So it technically goes to 2 teams, but best rivalry.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
Best rivalry.
All right, let me
best
take a
rivalry
look.
this year, though. This year have to be this year specifically. So Hartz and Ghilani maybe is out because they were both loser teams.
We're bad.
Yeah. I don't know if that. Yeah, because I don't know if it's like if it's rivalry as like the teams were good and they were contentious, or like the people were mad at each other. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, I feel like it's better when there's people mad at each other, but I just off the top of my head when you said that, I feel like the best rivalry didn't feature a lot of shit talk. But if I remember correctly, Moach had a couple really tight games with Ricky. And I mean, I don't remember them talking shit. I'm going to have to go back. But like I feel like Moach beat Ricky by like 0.3 points once or something. I have to go back and look at the tape here, but like my mind automatically goes to that division just because it was so it was such a tight division, even though they weren't really necessarily shit talking.
That whole division, that really, I think they all had a couple close matches between the three of them, really.
Yeah,
but I'd give it to Andrew and Hani.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of it came down to the end for those two too. So
Right.
the big thing at the end there. Andrew's asking Hartz who he should set his lineup. Hey, Hartz telling him the opposite. Andrew's playing whoever he wants to, but he wants to ask him anyway.
Yep.
And it's just a fun one to watch.
We got Andrew over Hani week 2, 131 to 99. Then we got in week 11, he loses to Hani by 10, 102 to 92. And then I thought they played again in the playoffs, but they did not. I was the one that ended up beating them.
I thought they had a grudge match. They didn't?
No, I thought they did too, but they did not.
So
but
I'm actually thinking
beat him when it mattered.
Right.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking of Wheezy and Ricky, actually, because Wheezy beat Ricky in the second to last week of the season by 0.04 points. And I think there was another close one too. But honestly, this award should include not only results on the field, but also like the animosity between the two. Not that there's animosity between the brothers Hani and Greg, but I do think that Hani revels in Andrew losing, so I think they're the best rivalry of 2020.
Little dynamic there, just adds
Yep.
a little.
Yep.
Yeah, and I do have to say, I swept the Ryan division, so really there's no rivalry there really happening.
What can they say, right?
Good year every 10 years, and he's not.
It's my only opportunity. You got to take advantage.
As I hand this back to you. Come on.
All right, so Hani and Andrew all agree best rivalry.
That's right.
Congrats, boys!
Boys,
well done. Keep up the good work.
Keep the spirits up. Yep, appreciate it. Appreciate the intensity.
That'll do it for the first annual Squirrelies. Congrats to all the winners. Hey, if you didn't win one, run for it next year. That's the beauty of this league. You have a bad year, we're going to run it back. You have a good year, you can't stay high for too long because we're going to run it back in a few months anyway. I wanted to ask you guys to know Gaudy, I think it was kind of touched on this a little bit. I'm not sure he's going to have off-season plans, how he's going to improve, how he's going to approach 2021 differently because he just won. But I'm just really curious if you guys have thought about, hey, how can I be better next year? How can I improve my team? How can I draft better? How can I improve in season? How can I make the league more fun? You guys think about that at all so far?
Yeah, constantly. I mean, what are you doing if you're not obsessing over fantasy, right? Got to do something to stay busy these days.
Yep.
No, I think the biggest thing for me is what are the rules going to be next year? Can we return to everyone in the league has a vote? I think that's the right thing to do. That's what everybody wants. And if the votes fall that it's Superflex again, then it's Superflex again. But I think we got to respect the sanctity of the league and give the people the power again, and let us vote on what the rules are actually going to be. And it seems that Superflex plus a real flex is maybe the preferred. I don't like the Superflex, but again, if we add a real flex in there, I think it helps out a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do support every man one vote. I think that'll make sense, but I can't make that proclamation. It's going to come down to the other two commissioners, Ghilani and Hani, see how they feel. So we will definitely be talking about that in the off season.
It's tough to prepare without knowing the rules, but I think you do your mock drafts.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking more like cerebral, like how can I be better? And that's the thing with fantasy. I just believe that there's so much luck involved, and you can put in 3 hours a day to like reading about players, but just look at our paper champs. Sometimes you're drafting the right guys, but it's just not working. So I don't even know what you can do. I actually am not really planning on doing too much different, except maybe I'll try to drink even more beers and eat more wings at the next draft.
I'm gonna start earlier this year. I feel like this year I really slacked on listening to my podcast, doing my little research, doing my mocks. I really just didn't do anything this year, and I think it should. Not to make excuses, but I just I really do think that I just really was very lax this year. We started that little podcast, and that's basically all the fantasy anything I did. So I think this year I'm going to start, a little earlier, start listening to some stuff, get into it a little bit more, just be a little more prepared.
Yeah, I was the same way. I didn't do nearly as much research this year. I don't know if it was because it was COVID year. I didn't even know if football was actually really going to happen, but I just was not interested in sitting down and researching. I wonder if that was a pretty league-wide thing.
Yeah, I wasn't into it at all for some reason, but I don't know.
Is that an excuse you're making? But
I wasn't really even playing. This was kind of that's what he says too.
It is what it is. You can believe it if you want. You don't have to.
Well,
I know all you motherfuckers are trying to win.
I mean, there's proof. There's proof that I was trying to win, but I'm just saying that I went into the season not as prepared as I should have been, and I think it cost me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This super flex is a little bit of a learning curve. I need to get my feet wet, and now I kind of understand how it works and who I should be drafting and targeting that I wasn't looking at earlier. And
hopefully it's gone.
Yeah, hopefully it's gone. But if it's not gone, I just hope we can roster 3 quarterbacks and not 2, because that sucked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I that at all though. I think that if you start rostering more than 2, you have situations where you're don't even have a starting quarterback.
I don't know about that. Just shorten the bench by 1. We're fine.
I don't want to shorten the bench either.
Right.
All right. Let's not get into rules and regulations right now. But I'm not really planning on changing too much there. But just curious, who do you guys think is going to win the Super Bowl? It's Saturday. Super Bowl's tomorrow. I was feeling pretty confident that I knew who was going to win, but there's been some recent developments. It's Chiefs, I think, -3.5. Who you guys got?
So I would take the Bucks. I just don't think you can count. I don't think you can go against Tom Brady. I think that the storyline's there. They're home. He's gonna, kind of ride off into the little wonderland there. I think he wins it. I think he retires, and that's it. I don't know anything about it at all, but I think he wins and retires.
That'd be pretty epic, even though I don't want to see him win at all. But
I don't know. I haven't heard anything of him saying if he's going to continue to play more years and stuff.
Not at all. I mean, he's been good enough to play.
He says he's playing. Yeah, he said no way he's retiring.
Really? I could see him winning.
Yeah.
Geno, our maybe the best bettor we have amongst us.
Only in first touchdowns. But I don't tell anyone about them beforehand. I don't know. I guess the Chiefs. I think that it's either the Chiefs are going to blow them out or it's going to be close. The Chiefs are not going to get blown out. They put up 35 points every game. But I mean, it's just it's so hard to contain the Chiefs. I know the Bucs defense is decent. It's so hard to contain them. So it's can Brady score with all those weapons? I mean, he can. He's the best quarterback to ever live. But I got to leave the Chiefs.
Yeah, I was surprised that anybody would take the Bucs. I was kind of thinking about taking the Bucs, but it's surprised that Hartz is rolling with that right off the bat. But I think it comes down to the turnovers, right? The Bucs were not favored to beat the Saints, and they were just a turnover factory. And then Brady in the first half, especially, just throwing up bombs, and defenders aren't even paying attention. So I think the Bucks got a shot to pull it out. I think same as Hart said, don't bet against Brady.
Right. That's what I was hearing. The Chiefs have younger secondary, and test them out a little early and see what happens. And if test them out early, that anything can happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I was pretty high on the Chiefs for the last few weeks, but just the more time that goes by, I feel like the Bucks have like that defense right now that's like helping them win games. It's not even so much Brady, but it's just like they have that defense that's kind of carrying them, and it's hard to go against that, especially since the spread's 3.5, and it's like, I mean, even if it comes down to a field goal, Kansas City ekes it out. I'm almost leaning like I might bet the Bucks. But then again, Mahomes doesn't really make mistakes. I don't know. I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl. I'm like excited about it.
I haven't been this amped for a Super Bowl in so long.
I think it's going to be a lot lower scoring than people think it's going to be, though. Everyone's like, it's going to be a shootout. Definitely take the over. And I think it's just going to go under. I'm not even sure what it's at right now, but it just seems like it's setting up to be almost a disappointing game. Like those games that you think is going to be just like wild, like Super Bowl is going to be great. We got these two great quarterbacks, and it's just going to be a dud. I hope not, though. Maybe that's
it can't be as bad as it was. Like Rams?
Yeah, what was that
3 years ago? That was so awful.
Oh yeah,
it's almost like I wished I didn't watch it, which is weird.
Yeah.
I have something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, Andy Reid's son. Did you guys see that story?
Yeah,
he drank and drove, and then he was involved. He's like the D-line coach or something. Then he's not coaching because he was involved in like a car accident where like a kid is in like critical condition.
Really?
And I feel like I don't know. I've never been on a football team, but I feel like that's like a pretty big deal in house. Like it's like, oh, one of our coaching staff is not here because
potentially
he was drunk driving, or I don't know. It just seems like a bad wrinkle, especially because it's the coach's son. A bad wrinkle to happen 2 days before the game, and that also has me leaning Bucks.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Didn't Andy Reid have another son that was killed by a drunk driver?
I thought it was a. I don't even know if I want to like say. I thought it was like a drug thing.
Yeah, maybe it was an overdose.
Him and Joe Biden have these really messed up sons. I get them confused.
Who?
Joe Biden and Andy Reid have all sons that like do this crazy shit and they die. And I can't keep them straight.
That is kind of true. They're very similar now that you talk like that.
I don't know.
Never mind.
But
yeah, there's drug problems with his sons, and that's including the son that got in trouble for. And one of his sons overdosed, and the other one's his coach, and he had like gotten back on the right path, but now he was drinking and driving, and it was involved in the accident. I don't know. It just seems like a really bad omen 2 days before a game.
Yeah, 2 days before.
And, it almost feels a little bit like sleazy to talk about it as a factor, but I feel like it could be a factor. Like you're trying to focus on the game, and this all shit's happening. I don't know.
No, I agree with that.
I was gonna say that not as important as the Squirrelies, but just so happens the NFL honors are also tonight. Who do you think's gonna get MVP?
I'm nervous, man. I'm nervous they're gonna give it to your guy's boy Aaron Donald there.
Oh, for defense. Well, yeah, defensive player of the year is probably gonna be Donald or TJ.
Yeah, it's pretty much a 2-man race, and I feel like TJ should win it, but
yeah, they won't give it to TJ. They just won't. But
I just feel like they're not going to. Yeah.
Rodgers is going to get
front runner. Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I wish he wouldn't have lost.
I think it's a safe bet.
It's just annoying that he's going to win MVP and then they lost.
Yeah.
I wish it was Rodgers, Mahomes. That's really what I wanted to see.
Yeah, me too. I really wanted to see it.
I don't know. I kind of like Brady. I don't know. He's just so good. It's just like
who else is in the running for MVP?
It's either going to be Mahomes or Rodgers. I feel like. Who else could it be?
Yeah, my bet's on Rodgers for sure.
Yeah,
he had such an epic year, and really like it wasn't his fault in the playoffs. Like, I mean, Aaron Jones had multiple fumbles, and his defense was doing God knows what at certain times. I don't know. I don't think that's going to hurt him that they lost.
Yeah. And then offensive player of the year, I guess is going to be Derrick Henry. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, because they usually give it to a non-quarterback because they get MVP to quarterbacks like every year. So
Devontae Adams, is he in it?
yeah, it could be Devontae. I don't know if they do like nominees or they just pick it. I think it's a vote, so I don't think there's like nominees. But Derrick Henry or Devontae or I don't know.
How many touchdowns does he finish up with? 20?
A lot.
18? It was insane.
Yeah.
In Dynasty, I have him and the number 1 overall pick in Johnny Taylor, but the rest of my team is terrible.
Yeah, it looks like Derrick Henry's the favorite, and then they got like Kamara and Adams and Diggs.
Kamara carries the Saints really.
guy.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd Devontae over Derrick Henry, but Henry is a beast.
I like the Diggs call. That'd
Yeah.
be cool. That'd be really cool.
It'd be
I mean-
cool. Yeah.
Team.
Diggs is sweet, but I think he doesn't have the numbers that compare with Devontae, right?
Yeah.
Adam,
Do you think Derrick Henry will be like a top 3 pick? Because I mean, I feel like he gets slept on every year. Like he had
Yeah.
such a monster year 2 years ago, and even this year, I think he got probably slided to like 6 or 7. And I feel like maybe people are going to be like, I'm not going to, even though he doesn't really catch a lot of passes, like I'm not going to sleep on this guy again. Give me some Derrick Henry. He's just too good. He
Yeah, I don't
should be a top 3 pick.
tough in the 2 back league, I guess.
We forgot about Kelsey. He might get offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's actually a good call. He's been great.
Yeah. Probably Kelsey or Henry or Devontae.
Record-breaking season, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then coach of the year, everyone thinks Stefanski, but I don't know.
Yeah. Who
Oh,
else? Tomlin.
Yeah, right, Mike Tomlin.
yeah. I mean, I guess give it to Stefanski. I mean, yeah, they went to the playoffs. Good for them. You know, whatever. I don't really have any time for giving kudos to Stefanski.
Sean McDermott, I guess.
Yeah, the Bills. Yeah, probably will be the Bills, huh?
It sucks if you were a good coach and you're still a good coach. You don't get it. It's only if the team was bad and now they're good that you get
Right.
it. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like Andy Reid's not going to get it, but why wouldn't he get it? Doesn't make any sense.
Right. Or
All right, boys.
right. It's a pretty solid coaching year, right?
Yeah.
You start basically a new team and take them to the Super Bowl first year is pretty legit.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, before we get rolling here, I just want to say thanks a lot to the league this year. And as soon as we can get back to the bars, first round's on me.
Hey, well done. Yeah, I totally forgot you even win money for winning this league because to me it's always just about pride.
And this guy.
God, if it was up to me, you'd have a whole suitcase.
That's true. We should up. I mean, we should up the buy-in. We're all older and more comfortable. We probably should.
100?
What's up?
Buy-in's 100?
Yeah.
What do we want to go to?
I
200?
mean, yeah, that seems fair for now. I mean, last year we voted on it and people didn't want to increase it, so we'll try it again this year.
You're still not filling up a suitcase with $1,000.
Well,
We could put it in a suitcase for visual purposes, though.
I think
Not filling-
200 is okay. 200 is okay. I remember there was talk of crazy talk,
yeah, unless it's
Yeah, Ghilani will roll in and be like, "Let's do 1,500," you know, like that.
bad. It's in 6 months of the season, 6 months long or something, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you put so much time and effort into it. You know, there's days I work harder at fantasy than I do in work. You know, so it's only fair.
Right.
All right, boys. Well, hey, I'd say the first annual Squirrelies were a smashing success. Well done, Geno. I appreciate you bringing that idea to the table, and thanks to the Ryans for being a part of it.
Yep.
Next year, when we have a budget for a producer, what we'll do is we'll give the award, and then we'll call everyone, for a little box in the corner for an awards acceptance speech, and we'll get the interns on that for next year.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's get another pod scheduled for loser punishment and/or rules debate for next year.
Ooh.
Maybe they should be separate pods, but let's get
Yeah, the rules debate pod's going to be 7 hours long.
That's okay. I think we dedicate a full pod to debate.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Slide a few people in and out. People don't have to be there the whole time, but if they want to pop in for a little segment, a little something that someone's very passionate about, like I don't know.
We'll have to get Ghilani on it, surely.
Well, I mean, he'll be pulling for 3 quarterbacks this year.
Or Geno and his he wants to open it up to have as many quarterbacks in your team as you want.
Yeah.
Bring him in.
I put limits on us.
Dude, you will be miserable without limits. Believe me, it's gonna suck without limits. We can try it one year. We try something new every year. We might as well.
Yeah. Just shorten the bench and then you're good.
Yeah, oh, man, makes miserable things happen.
Save it for the rules pod, guys.
Save it for the rules pod. Let's enjoy the Super Bowl. I'm making some wings. I'm looking forward to it. You guys have fun, and hopefully we'll all be together soon.
Yes, sir.
Good season.
Please.
Later, boys.
Later, guys.